So hi guys, we're going to get into the next session, which will be on values. That's what I'll talk about on the workshop. So hopefully you enjoyed watching the last 4 videos on the traits, which we used the DOPE test. So it was the dove, the owl, the peacock and the eagle. Hope you got a little bit of a laugh out of that. I certainly enjoyed it, so that's a good thing. Moving on to values. So traits is one part of us, and there's lots of bits of it, but another important part I find, in particular with managing your own mental health, is values. What are values? My own journey through depression, I have learned to look inwards, and I guess the first thing I looked at was my values and making sure that I am living a value-driven life. And we talk about like a wellness wheel or a life compass. You might see it in a circle, you can see it done like this. I'll have a couple of different resources that you can use on my website, but more importantly, these are areas that are important to us. I guess they're like our domains, like what's happening for us in life, and everyone has different domains. You know, people have different things that are important to them. So let's have a look at that, because I guess when I ask the question, what are values, most people go, don't know. So I then rephrase the question and I will say, what's important to you? So it's interesting when someone comes to me where they're having a conflict at work, and they might be telling me that, you know, this happened and it was really unfair and I don't think that it should have happened. With those type of language that's used, I can really hone in and go, is fairness important to you? You know, is honesty, is trust, is justice important? When you start to hone in on that, people go, yeah, it really is important to me. And so when there's like a conflict with the value you hold, creates this, you know, I guess, confusion. Like, I didn't agree that that happened, where others may, you know, have that feeling as well, but they might be the person that can actually say something. Where if that was happening to a dove, they much prefer to avoid the conflict and just hope that it just smooths over. But it's still impacted on because of what their values are. So let's have a look what's really important. I'm going to use me, because obviously it's me running this session. So straight up family, friends, my animals, very important to me. I love them. I get so much, you know, support from them. And you know what, when you have a dog, you know, they don't seem to have bad days. They certainly know when you have a bad day, and they can bring that smile to your face. Education is important. What I do now is what I love to do. So whether I call that a hobby or education, but it's something I love to do. Work. And you know what I'm going to put, which has been a fairly new area for me, which I think is something where things can change, is health. Okay, because that's something that's happened, you know, like I'm getting my 40s, so it's something that you start to look at. All right, so now I've looked at what my areas are and what's important. So for me to hone into, well, what do you value? So I'm going to pick friends, because everyone has a good group of friends. And why do we have friends? Okay, so for me, I would look, if I didn't have my friends, what would I be missing out on? Like, what do I really value about my friendships? And this is where you can get in and have a look at some of your friendships and go, okay, what is the benefit there as well? What do I get from that relationship? So for me, what I value with my friends in particular is, you know, support. They're there for you. Love, fun, which is a real big value for me, is the fun. What else do we get from them? So security, connections. So social connections, very important with any, you know, for mental health to keep well. So there's just a couple, okay? We can go on and on and on with values, and I don't really want to overwhelm people. I just want to stick with the main ones that come to you. So for particular for me, you know, I'm going to use, you know, fun, which is really important. So if you're suffering with, just say someone's feeling a bit down, and this is where I give you example how important values are. And so when we're in our darkest period, for some of us have been there, I know I have been there with depression, you start to become a little bit isolated, and you start to, you know, we could go on about thoughts and stuff like that, but that's a whole different thing, okay? We're just going to stick with values. I'll give you one example. So for me, in my life compass, friends is really important. Now, if you're feeling a bit flat and a bit down, and your friends ring you up, because remember, friends is what you know, what's important to you, and your values, because you get fun, You get laughter, you support, there's love. There's just that real, that feeling you have. Trust is probably in there as well. Now, when they ring you up and say, hey, do you want to come out to the movies? The first thing you may say is, you know what? No, I don't really feel like it. So when we start saying things like that, after a while they might stop asking you to come out. I mean, if they're good friends, which I know mine are personally, they would go, what's up, Renee? You're usually the bubbly type. You're the peacock. What's happening for you? But you can see how we've all been there where you feel like, nah, I just don't want to go. So can you see what starts to happen where this part of your life compass may start to drop away because you know that you value that, that's really important to you, but then you're not actually living a value-driven life. So do you see what I mean? You're not committing to action that are with values. So that's really a lot of the ACT, acceptance commitment therapy, which is trying to push through those moments where you don't feel like it, you feel pretty crappy, you're probably full of anxiety and you're thinking, I can't do this, and your brain's saying, don't go, don't go, don't go. But physically, you've got to do it. You've just got to go. And how many times have you done that where you feel so tired, you don't want to do it, but you do it, and it wasn't that bad? It might not have been the best time you had, but you know what? You did it. You did it, and it was a towards action. So it was an action moving towards your friends. So can you see, if you continue to do that, you can start to get your life back on track. But if you go the other way, you start to become withdrawn and isolated. So that's what we'll be talking about in session 2. That's what I want to get into. So hopefully you're coming to the workshop. It's on the 6th of October. The price is now only $60 if you've listened this far, because this is a long session. I do apologise for that, but it's a really important part. So thanks for listening. Bye. Hey, mate.